Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome. My name is Orwan Rabia, I'm the Artistic Director of IDFA, and we are very happy to share our program with you, announce our competitions, lineups, information about various aspects of IDFA 2019. To everybody who is with us via the online live stream, you're also very welcome. This will be about 90 minutes, and we will be telling you so much, so bear with us. It's gonna be a fast ride.
Reflects on reality, history, society. Reflects on the future. At IDFA, with over 300 documentaries from all over the world.
The theme of IDFA's campaign this year is Reflect. So this is, as the word obviously suggests, a combination of the mirror, of reflecting ourselves, reflecting something, reflecting reality, but also reflecting on reality, on history, on ourselves. And this relationship with reality is, of course, the key, the actual basis of documentary film that is changing year after year recently to be gradually a different creature, a different part of cinema, a different part of art than it used to be before, at least more liberated from the paradigms of old setup of financing, old understanding of a documentary film and what it can be. This also is connected probably to the rise of new media that we will tell you about as usual today, and to the different new platforms, to the SVOD platforms, to more theatrical release of documentary films almost everywhere in the world. So what's happening now is certainly a new era for documentary film. Many in our documentary world are arguing this is the golden age of documentary. I'm not against the term at all. I think it is, mainly because it is in question. It is bringing very new language to our lives because people everywhere are more curious about reality than a while ago because maybe people need to think and discuss. Now what's happening from the side of documentary filmmakers is so much more artistic ambition, so much more search for artistic language, for cinematic language, so much less documentary film that work or operate in the old paradigm where documentary film is not film, it's actually just documentary. And it's only documentary, and by that it teaches you something, it's didactic, it's explanatory, it's an argumentation. And there was always artistic documentary filmmaking. There was always cinematic language in the Netherlands, in Europe, everywhere in the world. But it seems to be a new era now with so much more of that happening. Now, this does appear throughout the program of IDFA 2019. To start, I'm going to tell you a few general overview information. IDFA this year will offer a bit more than 320 films and new media projects. Now, partly there are more, the total number is more because we open to more short films than ever before in IDFA. How we did that, we will stop by it in a bit, but basically by making our short film competition a premiere-only competition, and then including short films in other sections of the festival. So now you will have short films in Best of Fest, in Masters, not this year, last year, but then also in the other premiere sections, Luminous and Frontlight. So we have overall way more short documentary films in IDFA. And to be very general, I can say that IDFA's map this year comprises of about 75 countries. The about here comes from the fact that co-production, international co-production, is very difficult to be accurate about. So it's very rare that a film now has one country, one nationality on it, really. This is partly because of cosmopolitanism, because of displacement, because of refugees, exilees, but also because of the economic necessity to co-produce, to make films that work in different markets at the same time. The density of the black here will tell you which countries we have more films from which countries, but the spread, I think, is quite high. It is a bit higher than last year. We can see clearly more Asia, more Africa than ever. Almost 60%, 55% of our program comes from Europe this year. I can say that there is a bit of a painful fact that we have less films this year, not only at IDFA, this year in general from Eastern Europe. And I dare to blame this as a sign of right-wing governments controlling the film foundations in Eastern Europe. Last year, it was not yet in effect. This year, I think we can measure this effect. The highest countries we have in IDFA this year are France and USA and the Netherlands. From the Netherlands, we have a total of 54 films and new media projects, whether produced or co-produced by Dutch producers and filmmakers. Last year, we signed the pledge of 50-50 by 2020. This was a commitment from IDFA and its team to gender parity, and we have delivered already this year. So we did not need until 2020 to deliver. We actually are happy. It's not only us who did this, it's also women filmmakers everywhere who really pushed, who really made a higher presence and really took this momentum to the max. And today we can be proud that in our competitions, which I think are at least the 50-50, 2020 pledge thinks the most important thing, we have 64% by women filmmakers. Now, when we say 64% by women filmmakers, there's one thing that this should say clearly. It's not us who did this. When we achieve 50%, 51%, then maybe we have done an effort. Then maybe we invested extra effort to make sure that we are gender balanced. When it's 64 to 36, I think it is not us anymore. It must be what's happening out there. It must be a real, true wave and movement that is bringing in all of these films. And the overall of the festival, so this includes the sections Best of Fest and Masters and so on, the total of films by women filmmakers is 47%. We still clearly have a big issue in gender parity in a section like Masters, for example, because the section Masters is not only what we do, it's also what this industry have done over decades of time, establishing and recognizing big names. So big names are generally vast majority male, and this is something that we are also committed to working against and to really try to balance this side of the business. The third pie here will show you the percentage of films by women in IDFA 2019 that is a premiere film, either world premiere or international premiere or European premiere. This is basically about IDFA being a platform, IDFA as a space to show and present new films. Before we go into program, we will just say a few quick words about what's happening in IDFA's industry section. IDFA's industry part is probably the most clear reason why documentary filmmakers everywhere come to IDFA, why IDFA matters so much more than other festivals. Because with 3,500 professional guests coming to this festival every year now, we are the biggest gathering of documentary film professionals anywhere in the world. So Amsterdam during IDFA is certainly the capital of documentary film. There's no other place where so many professionals meet, and this is why we keep on developing our offer to them. developing our offer to them means that it's two sides. First side is the business, the industry itself. How can we serve the documentary film community in the best way to help push this industry further, to help push the projects at hand further, to help evoke and encourage co-productions and collaborations across borders between different countries. How can we be effective at that? This happens first in IDFA's markets. The biggest of which, the most prominent of which, is IDFA's forum. The IDFA Forum for International Co-Production and Co-Financing is a landmark event of the year for documentary filmmakers everywhere. This year, we are changing it. We are gradually making it a more flexible, more tailor-made platform where different projects can find less strict boundaries or less strict pre-designed setup, and then we take upon ourselves as a team to put more effort into tailoring every project, the pitch for every project the best way we can. The other thing that is also developing in IDFA's industry offer for the 3,500 professionals who will join us is the IDFA talks and think tanks. It is a responsibility, obviously, when we have this huge number of people coming in. It's the biggest gathering. This means this is the place where things should be discussed, where the industry should be debated. Everybody is concerned, is it a golden age or not? Is this fake or not? There's a lot of discrepancy. It's a golden age on one hand. Some documentary films are crossing the $10 million box office limits. Budgets of some documentary films are going skyrocketing to millions and millions, but on the other hand, filmmakers are getting really a low pay, even in Europe and in the most prosperous countries in Europe. Filmmakers are living with a lot of difficulty. So this kind of questions are going to be debated in IDFA. So much more than this, also about what's happening with the Netflix and the Amazon and the Disney and the Apple and all of the different companies that come and try to change the map, and how we can examine collectively through debate what is positive, what is not, how can we influence this or just receive it. This year, we have, as usual, one guest of honor. The guest of honor of IDFA is a big deal in the program. It's a center of the program of the festival. And this year, we are honored to host Patricio Guzman, who is the Chilean, Paris-based Chilean master filmmaker who has been making films and influencing filmmakers and politics throughout the world since the late 60s. Guzman is one of those very few masters who kept working for this very long time, but kept influencing for a very long time. And he also kept on changing, on developing as a filmmaker. His language changed so much from the time when he told the whole world about what happened with the coup d'etat of Pinochet in the early 70s. And we can credit Guzman for a good part of why the world knows about what happened in Chile at the time. Since he made those films, The Battle of Chile, a trilogy that went into the history of cinema that we will show in IDFA, until he made his most recent film, Cordillera of Dreams, that was an award winner in Cannes this year. So much of his language, of his approach to film, of his understanding of cinema changed. He is still working on his country, his homeland, Chile, but he is examining it with a much different and every time more mature approach to poetry as much as to fact. With what's happening now in Chile, if you're following the news, it's not big in the news yet, I think, but what's happening in Chile now is very big. And it's a whole revolt of people that is being faced by very harsh military response in the streets of the country. And in Cordillera of Dreams, I believe that Patricio Guzman more or less foresaw this coming. We're going to share with you a clip from the film.
Mucho tiempo atrás, cuando yo tenía 20 años, aquí se jugó el Campeonato Mundial de Fútbol. Yo vine a ver el partido de Italia con Chile, que ganó Italia. Pero algunos días después ocurrió un milagro. Chile logró alcanzar el tercer puesto en el Mundial. Éramos los terceros del mundo. Recuerdo que la fiesta duró varios meses. Más tarde volví al estadio, pero como prisionero político. Aquí llegamos a ser varios miles. Estuve preso 15 días sin que los militares supieran dónde estaban mis rollos de película. Yo recuerdo perfectamente esta vista de la torre del marcador. Desde aquel golpe de Estado, nunca volví a vivir en Chile, aunque toda mi carrera la dediqué a mi país. Después, yo salí del estadio y luego del país para salvar mis bobinas. En ese tiempo, otras personas siguieron filmando. Una de ellas es Pablo Salas.
In the retrospective of our guest of honor, we are going to screen 7 feature-length films. They are basically made of 2 trilogies. His first trilogy from early 70s until early 80s, that's The Battle of Chile, 3 films. And his last trilogy, Cordillera of Dreams, is the 3rd film in a trilogy that starts with his most famous maybe film in recent years, which is called Nostalgia of the Light. Next film is The Pearl Button, and 3rd film is Cordillera of Dreams. This is a trilogy of films in which he examines the socio-political history and reality of Chile in connection to nature. In Cordillera of Dreams, I think that this is an exceptional example, a rare example of when we see the clear and strong link between socio-political history, oppression, neoliberal economy, political corruption, and the environment. It's very rare these days that somebody brings us to this realization of how human rights and the environment are pretty well connected and intertwined, and that we cannot easily disconnect one of the two. In his top 10, we were so pleasantly surprised with a selection of 10 outstanding films, some of which we've never seen in IDFA before. We've rarely showed in IDFA. One of them, for example, is La Jetée, the masterpiece of Chris Marker, which is a film that is indispensable in the canon of international cinema, but which also have a very important meaning to Guzman himself and his career, because at the time when Guzman had to leave Chile and had to keep on trying to make his films, his good friend Chris Marker at the time helped him a lot, very closely, and there's a lot to say about this that you can listen to in the masterclass that I'm going to be moderating with him on the first Friday of IDFA. I'm not going to say more about this. I think you will get the chance to follow through. Then, a few very precious and dear friends of IDFA passed away this year, one of whom is an outstanding Dutch editor, and that is Menno Burema, who is a dear friend of the festival, of us as a team, and someone who contributed deeply to Dutch filmmaking and to the films of many non-Dutch filmmakers also around the world. He always was a great tutor in IDFA's educational programs, helping filmmakers from everywhere. And we will be celebrating Menno and his career with a special evening. But here I'm going to tell you about the mini retrospective that we are organizing to celebrate the late D.A. Pennebaker, who passed away this year too, only recently. Pennebaker and Hegedus are a couple, maybe the most influential and the most famous couple in documentary film. There are many couples in this industry of ours. It happens to be so because it's, you know, it's a lot of emotional energy and it's a very little amount of money. So it needs so much love, and I think it really works well with couples. So Pennebaker started in the 50s making his films. He was one of the last, he was actually the last of the founders of what we call direct cinema, the American counterpart of Cinéma Vérité in France. Him and his friends in the 60s developed the whole thing we know now as documentary film. They were even involved in developing the technology. So they managed to find the technical solutions. How can they record sound directly to the 16 millimeter film cameras on their shoulders? They had to modify the cameras so that they can try to be as close as possible to the reality in front of them. And Chris Hegedus came to the life of D.A. Pennebaker end of 70s. They started working together until his passing a few months ago. She is, at least in my opinion, one of the greatest dramaturgists of this world, one of the greatest editors, in addition to being an exceptional filmmaker. So Chris will be with us to celebrate her and the late Penny, and we will be showing 4 films. Just to give a very quick note, the 5 minutes very first film of D.A. Pennebaker is called Daybreak Express. And then we will show a rarely seen film with the title Town Bloody Hole. This is a very precious piece of history, as much as of documentary filmmaking. D.A. Pennebaker's career is marked by the fact that he is the greatest concert documentary filmmaker ever. So whatever you remember you have seen in Woodstock, it was him. Whenever you have seen Janis Joplin play in the US, not when she was in Stockholm or in the Netherlands, it was him. He is indispensable with his work on various great musical icons, and his work on Bob Dylan became iconic. I think most of the world recognizes this from his film Don't Look Back, that we can still see that even this year in his new film Lars von Trier, The House That Jack Built, the whole film included a line of tribute to this film, or to this scene in the film of Pennebaker. I'm moving next. We're giving an exceptional Lifetime Achievement Award this year to a great documentary film legend. And that is the Danish author, cineast, and poet, Jørgen Leth. Through his career, Jørgen Leth made many films that look and feel and even taste, if I may say, like nobody else's. He never made anything that looked like another film we know. He was never good with the market. He had a huge affinity towards things he liked. So for example, Tour de France. He made films in Tour de France, and until now he is 82. Until last year he was having a live radio show covering Tour de France every year in Danish radio. But throughout his filmography, which he made both in Denmark and in his beloved Haiti, where he spent most of his life after adulthood, he went and took us with him to very different worlds and realms. There's so much to say about Jørgen Leth. I think and I hope that we will get the chance to say more during IDFA and to celebrate his presence. And also, we will be showing his most recent film. We're gonna be celebrating the world premiere of his new film, I Walk, which is moving, highly artistically complex take on growing older, on a great filmmaker looking back at his entire life and trying to understand what is the present and how does it deal with the past. We'll share with you the first minute of the film.
Jeg ligger her og kan ikke rejse mig. Benene virker ikke, som jeg vil have det. Der er ingen forbindelse. Jeg kan ikke gå. De siger, det er hovedet. Det er horrorfilm for børn. Jeg kunne ikke gå efter jordskælvet. Jeg må rejse tilbage. Finde sammenhæng. Finde orden.
Best of Fest is the non-premiere section, the big non-premiere section of IDFA, where the job is to show you and the audience the most celebrated, the most successful films of the year, but also our own picks from the year, which are not premiered in IDFA, premiered somewhere else. To show you what this is going to feel like this year, I'm going to take you through a few of the award winners that we're going to show. For Sama is one of the biggest hits of this year. This is a film by Syrian journalist, filmmaker Wad Al-Khatib. Wad has been in the siege of Aleppo, and there she was filming. She was making video reports for Channel 4 in the UK, and she was filming her daily life, the story of how under siege she fell in love with a wonderful young man her age who is a doctor in a field hospital in Aleppo in the besieged area, and she stayed filming. She kept us with her and him in their love story, with the bombing, with the terrible daily reality of a hospital, with her own challenges as a journalist in such a context, until she got pregnant, and then she gave birth to Sama, a young daughter, to whom she made this film as a letter at the end. So we have seen, and we will still see, many films from my home country after all of the disasters that are happening, the tragedies of Syria now. But I think what was special about For Sama is this very personal angle of a woman filmmaker. This is just, before we go, For Sama and Cordillera of Dreams of Patricio Guzman shared the documentary award in the Festival of Cannes this year. The winner of Berlinale's Best Documentary Film this year is a film that comes from Sudan, filmmaker Suhaib Gasmelbari. It is proudly an IDFA Bertha Fund supported film. Talking About Trees is an examination of the cinema, the history of cinema in Sudan, or thereof, the lack of cinema in Sudan over the past 40 years. A beautiful, contemplative film that I think everybody will enjoy watching. The Cave, this is the winner of Toronto. It is one of the strongest contenders for Oscar this year. It is a very interesting experience to watch this film and go to another field hospital in Syria that is very different. It was near Damascus, under siege, underground, where an incredible female doctor was the manager of this hospital, where everything on the ground was going into destruction. But there, this woman was, despite everything, trying to keep running a sane, useful hospital. It's a tour de force by all means. This is the winner of Sundance. Honeyland won, I think, how many? 3 out of 5 awards? Yeah, 3 out of the 5 awards of the festival in Utah. And it is a film that comes from Macedonia. And a beautiful imagery, a truly beautiful cinematographic work, observing the life of a woman who works with honey in the countryside. It is a film that tells us so much about our relationship with the environment, as much as about women living alone. Another woman living alone comes from Algeria. This is the winner of Locarno's Best First Film Award. Hassan Farhani is no stranger to IDFA. His first film was already here 3 years ago now. And in this film, he takes us to the border on the south of Algeria, where in the middle of the desert, there is a little hut where Malika, this woman, serves coffee and tea to people crossing from Africa into Algerian desert, into the Sahara. And she's just there for 25 years already, selling tea and coffee in this little hut. But can you imagine what kind of people would be stopping by on that desert highway going north? You should watch the film to know. I'm not telling you. This is the winner of Vision de Réel in Switzerland and Sarajevo Film Festival. A very poetic film that comes from Azerbaijan. I think Hilal Baydarov is very deeply influenced by filmmakers such as Bellatar or by Iranian cinema, and he makes or knits this very personal world with such handmade approach. He makes his films alone, and we will talk more about him later. Schemebirds is a film that comes from Sweden and Scotland. Beautiful story of teenagers. It's the winner of Tribeca. So this is an example of what Best of Fest has to offer, the big things that's happening outside of IDFA. Masters is the section that lacks female filmmakers, as we mentioned, but we're gonna hopefully get that changed in a couple of years. Needs a lot of work and some help from the press, acknowledging the female filmmakers out there. But we have an outstanding lineup, no matter. We have great names, great filmmakers, such as, for example, Alan Berliner, the wonderful filmmaker from the US, with his new film, A Letter to the Editor. We have Barbara Koppel, the great American filmmaker also, who is one of the greatest names, the iconic names in documentary film. Examples also include Yolande Zauberman, the French filmmaker, who is not well known enough in the Netherlands, and I think it's very important that we see this film of hers from last year. This is M. It's her examination of a painful story of, I don't know how to put it, but it's of sexual abuse in connection to ultra-Orthodox religious practice. This is a film that will also be connected to a long talk, to a filmmaker talk with Yolande Zauberman, who is a great expert and seasoned filmmaker, and would also be part of our annual Queer Day event that takes place in I every year. The Winter Journey is the new film of Anas Oostergaard, the Danish filmmaker who won IDFA years ago and was Oscar nominated with films such as Burma Vijay, is back with an exceptional story of Holocaust survival love story being looked at today through a reenactment technique or approach that we found fascinating. We have a son interviewing his father who passed away, who is a Holocaust survivor, and the father is being played by Bruno Ganz, no other. So this is the last performance of Bruno Ganz, the great German actor who passed away this year. It's very common to see reenactment in documentary film, but I think I have rarely seen a talking head interview reenactment. And when you see Bruno Ganz do that, I think it is something here about how a film can be, what can we do in documentary film without being unimaginative, with full broad imagination, is something that is exceptional. This is the new film of Nick Broomfield, the great British filmmaker, that goes back in a very personal way to the love story of Leonard Cohen and Marianne. It's essential if you know Cohen. It's necessary if you love Cohen. And I promise you, it's been tested already. If you are not so friendly or not so familiar with Cohen and his music, you will love the film, and you will probably start to appreciate Leonard Cohen after that. It's amazing how Nick Broomfield had a personal connection and even filmed the beginning of the love relationship between the two famous lovers. So it's not only a film that looks back at what happened to this very famous, iconic musician, it's also a personal approach and a personal experience of the director. And here is one of our Dutch big films of the year. My Rembrandt of Uke Hogendijk is Hogendijk's study or view over private owners of a Rembrandt painting. She will take us to different parts of this world where we will meet people in Amsterdam with the Six family, where we will go to Scotland and meet a baron who owns a Rembrandt and go there with the director of the Rijksmuseum, and where we will go to Lord Rothschild and see the two great portraits Rembrandt painted of his ancestors next to his bed. And we will learn so much about their relationship with owning a Rembrandt painting. Finally, Thomas Balmes, the famous French filmmaker, will take us with a masterful piece to Bhutan, a country that he worked in before, a country that we've seen in film, a country where there are these schools for young monks. But what's new now is that Bhutan was the very last country to have internet and GSM and mobile phone service in the world. It's very new there. And suddenly, in the young monks' school, there is all of these apps on the telephones, and something is slowly changing there. Now, we have 3 big focus programs this year. First of which is The Villain. This is a program co-curated by Joost Damen, our senior programmer, and our newest member of the programming team, and this is Sarah Dawson. So it was a great pleasure to have Sarah with us. And together, Joost and Sarah put together this 10-film program. It will include a lot of talks, discussions after the films, but the films themselves are our take on this big phenomena of true crime, documentary film, this massive fascination in criminals and crime that society and the media are growing and developing further and further. So what did good cinematic work do about this? When we look at the films, I think we'll discover that the difference is not that good cinema tried to show us what happened or to take us there with the puzzling, enigmatic character or the story and trying to investigate and understand who killed who for what, but rather to take us really to a confrontation with the villain, to invite us to meet the villain and see them as a complex character, to listen to them, to challenge them, and that's what some exceptional filmmakers did. It Still Hurts is, in numbers, the largest of our programs. This is our take on 75 years of the end of World War II. This is a program that will not go to the war itself. We are not selecting films that speak about the war itself. We are looking at films that will help us see what happened to our world. How did that war 75 years ago influence the way we understand the world today, influence our lives today? This is why in this program we will see films from the past 20, 25 years, films from Japan, from Germany, from the Netherlands, from the USA, from Algeria, from all around the world, trying to tell us what was the experience like coming out of that war and going into the Cold War, for example, being under occupation in other parts of the world, in the South, in Algeria, and how the end of World War II changed reality for people in colonized areas. How people in the Hedy Honigman, a beautiful film, 2 Minutes of Silence, how people in the Netherlands still keep remembering that experience until today. And so many more other films, great masterpieces of filmmakers such as Romuald Karmakar and Helge Sander from Germany. A beautiful film that hasn't been shown in the past years from Errol Morris called Dr. Death. That's quite something. It's an absolute experience watching it now. And then we go to the third and last of our focus programs. Re-releasing history is the continuity to our program every year examining the craft of filmmaking. And this year, we are examining films made purely from archives. This program is co-curated by Laura van Helsema and Joost Damen. And I forgot to mention that the program, It Still Hurts, is co-curated by Laura van Helsema and myself. Now, in re-releasing history, we will have 10 films with 10 talks and meet some of the world's masters of the genre of archival documentary film. We will have great filmmakers such as the Romanian Andrei Ujica, the Hungarian Peter Forgas, the Italian Alina Marazzi, from Portugal, Susana de Sousa, from, who did I forget? From Poland, we will have Maciek Drigas. And from Russia, absolutely, we will have Sergei Loznitsa. Then we will have a few new films from this year's harvest. This program is obviously in collaboration, supported by Bilden Geluid, and is the second in a 3-part series that we're doing on the craft of directing from different angles. So last year it was about the self of the filmmaker going into the film in the program Me. This year it's about archive, and I think we can just commit that next year it will be about time in documentary. For the first time, we are announcing a new award at IDFA. And this is the Bilden Geluid IDFA Reframe Award for the creative use of archive. 8 films, 9, will be nominated to this award. A 3-person jury is going to examine the films and grant 1 new award from now on every year in IDFA. Next. Last year we introduced these 2 new sections in IDFA. It's premiere films, luminous, and frontlight. It is still maybe a question. We keep it fluid. We keep it very flexible because we would not like it to be too fixed. What is the difference? But I think we can basically give an idea of why it is two programs. It is our approach to the typography of, not typography, topography, or topography of audience. If I may use this myth of very, very controversial or arguable scientific idea that there are two halves of the brain, and each one of them have different characteristics. I can say that Luminous is a selection of new films that we think are exceptional, are very good, worth watching, worth showing, that evoke or invite you to feel, lose yourself into the imagination of the film, identify with the character, imagine yourself there, and then form your own opinion or not. Whereas Frontlight, the counterpart, the counterpoint, is a program where it's more about argumentation. It's more about logic. It's more about convincing you of an idea, making a strong argument for it, defending it. And I am sure that both types of films are valid. Both types of film can offer great cinema in different ways. I'm going to invite you, my dear Sarah, first to comment on what I said, because I don't know if we're on the same page, are we?
We're mostly on the same page. Yeah, I think, as Orwa said, I think the idea of identification in Luminous is very important. And I think all of the films in Luminous really explore the complexity of being human from a personal point of view, whether it be the personal point of view of the protagonists or the personal point of view of the filmmaker. And I think a lot of, in that line, a lot of the films really explore questions of family, identity, relationships, expression, creativity. So we have films about very important makers themselves. So we have films about Andrei Tarkovsky. We have a film about Max Richter, the contemporary composer. We also have a film
who
about
will be
Margaret
here with
Atwood.
us.
He will
Max
be here,
Richter.
indeed. We also have a film about Margaret Atwood. So yeah,
She will not be here with us.
Unfortunately, she's too busy with her brand new book, so you'll just have to read the book instead. But I will give some examples quickly. We first of all have a film called Bellissime, which really looks at the intergenerational, intergenerational transfer of identity down the lines of mothers to daughters. And it looks at child models and their very intense mother who has strong ambitions for her children and the kind of effect that that has on their identity going into their adult lives. Then we have a beautiful film called Rising from the Tsunami, which really, I think, highlights the difference between Frontlight and Luminous in many ways, because it looks at the catastrophic earthquake and tsunami that hit the Pacific coastlines a few years ago. But rather than looking at the material impact of that natural disaster, it looks at the spiritual impact of that natural disaster, looking at the way in which trauma is really something that's as much an experience of the soul as it is of the mind. So that's Luminous. Here we have a clip from Bellissime.
Guarda, gli parlano i capelli.
No.
Sì, gli parla.
Questa ferma, questa qui così.
Però lei è più bella ancora di più di profilo, Erika. Più bella ancora di più di profilo. Brava?
Butta sullo capelli. Ora.
Di un po', com'è andata a Milano?
È stato bruttissimo perché questa qua una bestia è stata, cioè mi ha proprio smontato da testa a piedi e mi ha chiesto di te cosa ti piace fare, come passi il tempo.
Cosa gli frega di me, scusa lei?
Vabbè, in generale il suo modo di fare intervista.
Se voleva potevo chiederlo a me direttamente, non ho capito.
E ho detto che esageri in tutto, cioè nel senso esageri in tutto, hai sempre qualcosa da fare, sfilate, palo, pole dance.
Pole dance, palo, magari non so per il nome giusto.
Pole dance, tutte ste cavolate.
Come cavolate?
Cavolate.
Beh, a me piacciono, scusa.
detto.
Non l'ho fatte prima, le faccio adesso.
No, perché...
Gli hai detto che mi sono fatte 10 anni di mazzo per portarvi in giro?
Sì, infatti l'ho detto.
Che vi siete divertiti? Cosa vuole dalla mia vita? Cioè nessuno deve rompermi le balle su quello che faccio, perché comunque non faccio niente di male, né a sfilare, anche perché sfilano tutte donne della mia età, quindi ho tutte amiche della mia età.
Però sinceramente...
Meno sfilate?
No, non meno sfilate in generale, però...
Che caldo.
Boh, non lo so. Anche tutte le foto che metti, ok? Nel senso...
servizi fotografici.
No, ok, vabbè.
Preparatevi perché ne metterò ancora.
Lo so che nessuno ti ferma, lo farei... Cioè,
sì, ma tra l'altro non è che vada a fare delle cose astruse io, strane.
Però troppo secondo me per quello che potresti... Cioè, che dovrebbe fare
ma
una
troppo
donna.
Lo decide chi? Anche se io ho 58 anni, col carattere che ho, iperattivo, non potrei pensare di pulire solo, andare a fare la spesa, preparare, e stirare, e lavare, e poi i cani, e ricominciare la mattina, e pulire... E siccome nella mia vita sono sempre stata da ragazzina, invece non ho avuto la vostra fortuna, e sono stata castrata in molte cose, adesso che ho più tempo libero, ma non c'è persona che tenga che possa dirmi non lo fare, ma neanche un figlio.
Then we have Frontlight, and as Aura said, Frontlight is focused on the pursuit, I guess, of objectivity, although we must always take that term with a pinch of salt, but films that really seek to find truth in the world, especially in an environment where that is becoming increasingly difficult to get a hold of. So we have a lot of films that are investigative, analytical, immediate, urgent, a lot of films that focus on profile activists, profile journalists, and critique the structures of power that currently characterize the world in which we live. So we have a wonderful film called Fat Front, which profiles 4 incredibly vibrant and alive women who are promoting the cause of body positivity and are just wonderful, and they will be here with us during the festival, and it's really something to look forward to. I think this film is incredibly inspiring and joyful. Then we have The Two Lives of Liu Mao, which is a story that's a lot smaller than some of the big stories that we have in Frontlight, which is, for example, we have a film, The Forum by Marcus Vetter, which really goes behind the scenes of the World Economic Forum and unpicks power at the higher echelons. We have smaller films like The Two Lives of Liu Mao, which looks at the life of a trans woman in China and the difficulties that she has just being herself, but is told with an immediate, grounded urgency that I think places it very well in Frontlight. So enjoy a clip of Liu Mao.
他就说怎么样死他了。之前呢，就是在里面聊天，本来我呢就是想过来搞点他的钱的，然后呢我就慢慢聊，我见他那么可怜，算了，就是不搞他，然后慢慢聊就搞上感情了嘛。
还给我钱呢，还买空调呢。
不是说本来刚开始过来是想慢慢跟你聊天啊，怎么跟我聊天，看你有没有钱，想骗你一点钱了。然后现在比我还穷。
那时候他是有钱哦，比我还有钱的。
然后呢，我见你买口粮，就买空调、买电视买给他算了，不骗你钱。
这也许就是真的注定中一种缘分，这就是说爱情没有国界，没有什么，真的是我相信，我真的遇到了。
遇到什么了？
爱情。两个人过日子就是夫妻，对吧？ 做了手术之后啊，我也要这样子风光。
我是说真的，那可以，但是也加上你们那群人更多啊，找到我村里更高，104个大音箱，我们也要到时候全村人跟我们办事就。
洞房以后再走下来，我们庆典仪式来开。
Thank you, Sarah. Next is It Found Stage, also a new section that we introduced last year. It Found Stage is one-time events, special documentary film happenings. It's this space where documentary cinema come together with other performing arts. This section is taken care by our good colleague Jasper Hocken. So Jasper, would you join me, please? And tell us a bit about what's happening this year in It Found Stage.
Yeah, sure. So the first project is again live, and there's a filmmaker called Mario Pfeiffer. He made a film about an incident that happened in a German supermarket, where an Iraqi immigrant was violently removed from a supermarket by a group of Neighborhood Watch. And when I watched this film in Nyon, I talked to the filmmaker at breakfast the next day, and I told him about It Found Stage and how, and already gave him some ideas how he could translate this into a live performance, which he did. And I'm very glad we're bringing this to IDFA. In the performance, there will be, under the guidance of actors and presenters, he will tell the story of the incident, but also involve an audience and a live jury to answer the question if this was a justified intervention or an act of vigilantism. A machine for viewing, which is also part of the DocLab program, which you will hear about soon. Is a project made by 3 moving image makers coming from the world of cinema, coming from the world of new media, and it will reflect on the virtual reality in relation with the history of cinema. And in 3 episodes by these 3 different makers, they will talk you through the relation between virtual reality and the screen, virtual reality and the audience, and virtual reality and the cinematic apparatus coming from the projection booth. True Copy is a documentary theater play about the master art forger Geert-Jan Jansen. Geert-Jan Jansen will be on stage talking about his art of deception. And in this inventive theater piece, they will reflect on the relation between fact and fiction and real and fake. The Long River Slides is a film by Sanne Rovers, a Dutch filmmaker, who made a film about The Gift, a Dutch fanfare punk band. And the band travels on a boat through the Netherlands, collecting stories or collecting sad stories, and how the music of The Gift gave them solace. And especially for It Found Stage, they developed a live version where The Gift will play music from the film. They will accompany the film in a special interdisciplinary performance. And then Out of the Present is a film by the Romanian master filmmaker Andrei Ucica. This film is also being presented in the re-releasing history program. It's a film about an astronaut from the Soviet Union who travels to space station Mir, but when he's in space, the Soviet Union collapses, and he returns to a country he isn't aware of, called the Russian Federation. And especially for this, there's a British band called British Sea Power. They usually play indie rock music, but they made a special new soundtrack, an electronic soundtrack with ambient techno, which they will perform live here in Amsterdam.
Thank you very much, Jasper. What's again necessary to note about IDFA on stage is that you have to catch it. It will fly, it will not come back. So sorry if you miss it, try not to. Now we will start with our competition lineups, and we will go through them fast because we will not be highlighting any of the competing films. We will be telling you about them in general as selections and talk about the process of selecting. IDFA competition for short documentary film was overseen or taken care of also by Jasper Hocken. So Jasper, I'm going to ask you to tell us a few words about the process, about the offer of the short documentary competition, being for the first time premiere only. Is there a difference? How do you see it? What should we expect?
Yeah, starting the process actually this year got me nervous because we excluded a lot of films that weren't a premiere anymore. But in the end, there was more to choose from than ever. And what excites me about short films always is the experimentation by the filmmakers, and the different styles and stories and approaches that are coming back in the films that we present. So there's there's animated documentaries, there's personal documentaries, there's a film about artificial intelligence, about there's even a 3-piece video installation they turned into a short film. So I like the diversity and the expressiveness of the selection. And
for a jury, I think the short film competition has an exceptional jury. Cynthia Gil is the director of Doc Lisboa in Portugal, but recently she became the director of Sheffield Doc Fest in the UK. Thomas Keenan is a scholar and writer from Bard College in New York, one of the most influential in the studies of new media and through cinephile. Karen Archie is the American Amsterdam-based curator in Stedelijk Museum. Thank you, Jasper. IDFA competition for student documentary brings together films from around the world of film schools. And I'm going to ask our dear Raul Nino Zambrano and Sarah Dawson, who took care of this competition, to join me and tell us a few quick words about this overall experience. What is it that we should expect?
Start.
The student films, I think, firstly, the quality is really excellent. They're fresh voices, new voices, and I think important to note as a next wave of filmmakers that we will see come to fruition even more than the films that they've already produced, which are really, really excellent in years to come. There's a wide range of geographical region that they come from, a wide range of style, wide range of length, and there's a lot to dig into, and it's very exciting and youthful as a lineup, I think.
I like very much. I think we were also very impressed about the courage and all this experimentation, and you see immediately there are a lot of film schools all over the world that are really kind of pushing their students, and we were really, really grateful to watch all these films. Yeah.
They say that after they graduate with these films, they get ruined by the real world. Do you think that's true?
Well, I happily have seen some of them also coming to the first appearance later, so I think they somehow survived. I think that when they are now kind of more free to do the things they really would like to address and to experiment. So, and you will see it also in all these films, indeed.
And as Raul says, there's a lot of experimental, interesting, courageous points of view, but also some films that are political and conscientizing films, and films that also speak to youth politics in quite an interesting way. Yeah.
Thank you very much. The jury of the student documentary competition will be comprised of Melissa Lindgren, Swedish festival director and programmer and film producer. Juliette Duré, who is the head of film in Beaux-Arts in Bruxelles, and Abuzar Amini, the Afghani-Dutch filmmaker and the director of last year's IDFA opening film, Kabul City in the Wind. Kids and Docs is, as usual, IDFA's competition for films aimed at a younger audience. It's an exceptional lineup that will be a continuity on one hand, but also a new step, because I think that it's in the films how this audience, the younger audience, is not so much of a passive audience anymore. And they are doing things so much more than ever and changing and raising a voice. And there are films in this competition that approach that. And there are films that will be discussed with them and debated. And I think the kids are growing. And the selection includes surprising entries from places like Italy and Iran, because usually the Kids and Dogs documentary films made for a younger audience are mostly Dutch, sometimes Scandinavian, and very rarely from other parts of the world. This is a very strong Dutch speciality. It's a very much more, so much more developed art in the Netherlands than other places. And we are very happy that last year and this year we are managing to find examples of other countries, films from other countries that can add something to this mix, but it still is, to a large extent, a Dutch art. The jury for this will be comprised of Petra Rockenfeller, who is one of the programmers of the Oberhausen Short Film Festival, but also runs a cinema that aims a lot of its work towards a younger audience. Karen Goyers, who many of you know, the outstanding Dutch filmmaker, and Katarzyna Lesis, the director from Poland. Paradox is our art documentary section. It's where we will show you the most exceptional of the year's art / documentary, experimental art documentary. But I can fail if you don't help me. Joost Damen, you have to come and tell us more about it.
Well, I think you did actually very well. Yeah, this is
5 more words?
5 more words? No, this is the shot for, this is the program section for experimental documentaries and documentary experiments, I think. Basically, we show every length, shorts, mid-lengths, premieres, Dutch premieres, festival hits. Yeah, it's, as you can see, a quite eclectic group of films. Maybe I want to pick out one film, Tension Structures by Virgo Ward. It's a beautiful mid-length world premiere that's playing in the festival about, yeah, and maybe most films are about that. It's really about minutious watching something, looking at something really carefully. And this film is about, yeah, structures of buildings. And it makes it, it's a beautiful metaphor. It's like utopian buildings, and makes a sort of metaphor to how they stand in, how they survive in times of turmoil. So it's also maybe a really political film about architecture.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to see
this is, of course, only part of the program. We also have collaboration with Amsterdam Art Weekend. The program is not here. And we have a collaboration with Stedelijk Museumavond with Jeff Price.
But if the beginning is a political film about architecture, then we are intrigued. Thank you. Now we move to DocLab. IDFA's new media, big and important component. And I'm going to invite you, Casper Sonnen, to join me and tell us about this year's DocLab.
Thank you. So DocLab is the section of IDFA that explores the art of reality told through different disciplines and technologies, from web documentary, interactive documentaries, to virtual reality, from artificial intelligence to immersive theater. The program includes 2 competition programs, the digital storytelling competition and the immersive nonfiction competition. And I'm not going to go into projects deeply, just wanted to point out, I think, an interesting development that we're seeing this year, not just within our own program, but within new media programs elsewhere as well, is that I think the digital storytelling competition, where people are making experiences for the existing devices we have in our pockets or in our homes, that actually there's a development there towards more traditional formats, towards more linear experiences. Whereas in the immersive nonfiction competition, which is projects made, more site-specific projects made for more experimental technologies, we can see actually the opposite move, where artists are moving much further into physical experiences, into spatial experiences, using experimental technologies, having actors involved, more hybrid experiences. And I think it's interesting to see, as the web has become less of a playground and is more colonized by, or more incorporated, we can definitely see that the experimentation is moving to the physical world. This also coincides with 2 things, this move to the physical world. One is the theme program this year, DocLab's Domesticating Reality program. But also on a very practical level, the DocLab program this year is moving into a new location, the Tolhuistuin, next to the I Film Museum, just across the water from Central Station. But we're also expanding into other locations. So the conference this year will be in the Compagnie Theater. There will be pop-up exhibitions from DocLab, but also other parts of the IDFA festival in Lille, Amsterdam, in Central Station, as well as a VR cinema there. We're doing a special exhibition, mini exhibition on ayahuasca in collaboration with and we have a series of nights at the planetarium in collaboration with artists and other partners. And I think all this coincides with the theme Domesticating Reality, in which we're also exploring how the technologies that we shape, how they have been shaping us and the physical world around us. And a good example of that is Climate Crimes from our Planetarium series by Adrian Lahoud and Michaela French, which is a deeply disturbing immersive film that shows us how climate change is affecting us slightly less than others in other places. It shows the differences, what 1 degree of of temperature rise, the difference that makes to our world is a lot less than it makes to people living in the global south. This is one of those projects that open up our eyes, but also but telling the story in actually a very different way. Other stories about the physical world around us and how that's changing. 2 projects to mention quickly: Lagos at Large, commissioned by IDFA, by Jumoke Sanwo from Nigeria, and another project, Common Ground, by Darren Emerson. Both projects use different types of virtual reality to tell local stories, but also very universal stories about gentrification. I think it's a little sub-theme within DocLab and as well within the IDFA program.
You fly in this one. You do. You do. I promise you. It's something to try. Yeah.
It's one of them in which you fly.
It's something.
One in which you don't fly, but in which you actually get to physically walk around in the real world and experience a potential future, a future that we could go into if only expansion is the way ahead, is this project. It's an audio walk that takes you through the city using almost no words and having you experience, well, the future in a very hard to describe way. Like a lot of these projects, someone once said VR is like explaining VR is like dancing about architecture. This is one of those where I'm really struggling to explain it. You have to experience it for yourself. 10 slots available every hour. Much more accessible is an example of interactive artists using robots to do something more traditional, a video installation. The Year of the Robot. It's an example of a topic that we know very well, robots being used or technology being used in healthcare centers. Actually, the Year of the Robot takes that a step further. It doesn't document just what happens already. It actually uses this robot as a marionette, and together with the artist knowing, or with the protagonists, knowing that this is not a real AI, it's a human-assisted AI, they explore what it is to actually interact with robots. And I think it's a very moving and almost disturbing piece. And finally, to close off on the sort of artificial intelligence as one of the sub-themes this year, we commissioned Ontroerend Goed, a Flemish immersive theater group, together with the National Theatre in London, to explore using artificial intelligence and incorporating that into their very physical theater work. The result is Artificial Room 1, a small experiment happening in Tolhuistuin during the exhibition, in which they take an existing play that they've presented years ago, an interactive play, where they now incorporate artificial or machine learning and technology to create actually sort of a meeting between human beings and technology. It's being developed as we speak, but very few tickets available. So this is one where also be quick. That was it.
Thank you very much. This is the jury.
Apart from the fact that this is our jury.
Yeah, these are the two juries of the two competitions of DocLab, and again they bring together great experts of new media, and here's the clicker. Now, this has been announced 2 weeks ago already, or sorry, 1 week ago already, but we are still very much excited about our selection of Dutch documentary films in competition at IDFA this year. Raoul and Jasper, you took care of this section. I again need your help. Tell us about this experience. What's up with Dutch documentary filmmaking in 2019?
Well, it was really exciting. I think this year we were very glad the way space was taking place. There are a lot of filmmakers that went to Honduras, to Spain, to South Africa, and took stories from there. They were also very happy with the diversity in styles.
Yeah, and I think it's also really exciting to see the Dutch Masters coming back into the competition, but also welcoming new talents as well.
So who are the new talents here? Can you tell us what to look for?
I would say Marina Meyer's Carousel, Sophie Dro's King of the Cruise, Ruud Lens's Lost in Memories are a couple.
And we will have the return of Masha Ooms, obviously, with a beautiful film, Punks. Siddiq and the Panther is the return of Reba Doski, another film of Reba, a beautiful film from the mountains of Kurdistan, where we learn about an amazing world of animals in an area that we thought was all war. Thank you. The jury for Dutch film will be comprised of Dorota Lech, the programmer of Discovery section of Toronto International Film Festival, Sergio Oxman, the Spanish outstanding director, and Caroline Lebresco, the former senior programmer of documentary film in Sundance Film Festival. IDFA competition of Midlands documentary film was selected and taken care of by Laura van Halsema. Laura, this is the beginning of excitement of today's special announcements. And it is, of course, an exceptional offer from us to the audience of the Netherlands. And also, it is an exciting moment for filmmakers around the world who are waiting to be allowed to share the news with their friends, with their families, and with the world. So here we stand with a big bunch of films, 3 competitions now of films that will have their life starting next November in IDFA. What can you tell us? I'm going to be just walking through all the titles and ask you, what can you tell us about this experience of programming this section, Laura? What does it look like?
Well, I think in general it could be said that it's a very versatile selection, many different visual languages, different stories, and more specific, I noticed that even though at first you sometimes watch a film feeling that it's somehow familiar, in many films that we selected for this, after a little bit you go take a different angle, and I found that very interesting. So there is new, or to me at least, unknown angles, perspectives on universal stories, but also unknown stories. And I think, especially as in the past, this would be associated with television format, which has been not the case for many years, but I think its diversity in styles and approaches is something that we looked for, and I think we succeeded.
What do you tell us about the styles? Is there something new or different, or is it, what kind of styles is this diversity telling?
Well, I think it's all very, very different styles in the sense there's one which is more like a montage of archival footage. There is sort of the traditional journalist style, but very, very well done, really cinematic. There is the more anthropological ways of telling a story, or the closed-in interview styles where you get to understand the protagonist on a very close level. So I think it's just different ways. I mean, I think it's really bringing together all the different sides of the genre almost.
Thank you. I'm going to walk through the titles and the filmmakers and their countries. Lady Time from Finland by Elina Talvinsari. Mirador from Uruguay by Anton Terni. Mother Child, Argentina by Andrea Testa. Carousel from the Netherlands, again by Marina Meyer. North from France by Leslie Laguerre. Sunny, Poland by Pavel Shorzepa. And The Season When Velvet Antlers Get Ripe from Russia by Galina Leontieva. The Whale from Lorino, Poland, Maciek Czuske. And Number 387 from France by Madeleine Leroyer. This is a great example of how, I apologize. A Long Breath from Lebanon by Remy Itani. Bile from Belgium by Ira A. Goryanova. And the jury of mid-length competition comes with French-American novelist Jonathan Little and filmmaker, Chinese producer Xion Liu, and German filmmaker and artist Romuald Karmakar. Your section, this competition, Laura, is a very exceptional example of this new wave of women filmmakers taking over. Because the share of women filmmakers in your competition is massive, to the extent that made us think and discuss what I said in the beginning, that this is not us doing an effort. This is actually what's happening in the world. Can you comment on this? Did you try to make it 50-50 or more, or how does it happen?
Well, not while I was selecting. I didn't. It was not a conscious thing. Of course, if within the long list of films it would have been a problem, we would have gone back. But this was never a thing. And to be honest, some of the names I didn't recognize as female names. So I think really it was a coincidence, or not a coincidence, but it was something that we were very happy about to notice that so many of the films that we felt were the excellent ones were actually made by women. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I will move to IDFA's competition for first appearance. This is IDFA's first feature-length film competition. These are filmmakers who might have made films before, but this is their #1 feature-length film, over 70 minutes. Since last year, it is only first film. Before that, IDFA used to do like some other festivals do, so it would be first or second film. Now it is for us only first film. And we have a serious commitment as part of our strategy at IDFA to this section, to IDFA being a launchpad, to IDFA being mainly a space, a place, a festival where you meet new voices from around the world, where you discover new names, and you keep thinking, I would like to see their next film. Raoul, you are here with this section that you've been taking good care of for a very long time, and I think it's also your love, isn't it? So what can you tell us about this year's first appearance?
Well, it's always good to see how there's this energy in each of the films we selected. And I think basically we always come back to that sentence, are we really wanted to look the second feature film of this filmmaker? And this is exactly what is happening in each of these films. And we also, for many different reasons, that's also what we love to make this compilation. I think each film is also fitting in the whole. So it's a group that when you see all 12 of them, you are really seeing a new perspective of what the first feature filmmakers are doing at the moment. I like very much the energy and the vibe. There were films that were kept really in my mind for a long time. I think we enjoyed very much. There was a lot to pick up from. So it's definitely to be proud of this selection again. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think we will just go through the list, same way. Barzakh from Spain, Alejandro Salgado. Froth from Russia, Ilya Povolotsky. I love you, I miss you, I hope I see you before I die, from Denmark by Eva Maria Rudbrø. I owe you a letter about Brazil, from Brazil, by Karol Benjamin. And from Poland, Lessons of Love, Malgorzata Goliska and Kasia Matea. From Brazil again, Tali Yankelevic's new film, My Darling Supermarket, which is one example of a film that was developed further and tutored in IDFA's summer school and IDFA Academy. From China, Meng Han's Smoketown is one of the 14 films, I believe, supported by IDFA Bertha Fund in our program. From the United Kingdom, Lucy Parker made Solidarity. From Serbia, Marija Stojnic, who is also coming from the training program of IDFA Summer School, made this beautiful film, Speak So I Can See You. Then from Colombia, Simon Uribe Martinez made Suspension. A Tunnel from Georgia by Nino Orionikidze. And from Philippines, Alex and Arumpak made Aswang. And then this is our beautiful jury that will be taking care of the award for Best First Appearance Film. It includes British editor Maya Hawke, Italian film programmer Paolo Moretti, who is the director of the Directors' Fortnight in Cannes, Emma Davey, the Scottish filmmaker, Mexican filmmaker Tatiana Hueso, and Indian filmmaker Anand Patwardhan, who is the winner of last year's IDFA feature-length competition. IDFA's competition for feature-length documentary seems to be the most awaited. And as we announced a couple of weeks ago, what's new here is the award scheme. So first appearance. You just met the jury that will give IDFA's award, but there will be a second jury giving another award to a first appearance film, and that jury will be the Fipresci jury. So it's a jury that is assigned by the International Federation of Film Critics. This is our commitment to more focus and presence or centrality to first appearance. Whereas in feature-length documentary, we are introducing a new scheme of awards that goes from Best Film Award, and Best Film Award is going to be shared from now on between director and producer, and then Best Director Award, or Best Directing Award, Best Editing Award, and Best Cinematography Award. Joost, it's exciting times.
Yes.
We have such a lineup, I think.
Yes. I'm really happy with it.
What can you tell us about it?
I think it's very, the first thing that came to mind when we also were talking about the selection of films, because obviously we are dependent on what we receive. So, but I think the word that was written most in all the comments by the feature-length commission was tender, I think. And
tender.
Tender. Very tender film, and I think it's sort of the humanist approach to, the humanist approach in these films is what connects maybe all the stories, and really sort of a deep interest for the filmmakers for humans with all their difficulties, you know. And but it's all very nuanced and beautiful, positively, negatively, and everything comes together. But I think it comes with a real interest for the other, basically. And I think that's something. Yeah, well, I don't want to be didactic here, but it's maybe something we should. This world is dying a little bit more for, really showing interest in others. So that's, I think that's what comes with this selection of films. And also a lot of new names for IDFA, I think.
I don't think we can ask for more than tender, genuine interest in the other. Should we go into the list?
Yeah.
Wow. It's exciting for the filmmakers, but I must say, announcing these last titles of the last 3 competitions is also exciting for us and for our colleagues, the film selectors, the commission members, the program advisors, for our absent associate programmer, Maria Campagna, Ramya, for all of those who helped us put together the program. So it's a highlight of our year too. Thank you for being here with us. From Cuba, Spain, France, Switzerland, Heidi Hassan and Patricia Perez Fernandez made In a Whisper. From Mexico and Spain, Laura Herrero Garvin made La Mami. From Egypt, Marianne Khouri made Let's Talk. Azerbaijan, Hilal Baydarov, whose first film was in Best of Fest earlier in this presentation, made Mother and Son. From India, Pushapendra Singh made Pearl of the Desert. And from the Netherlands, we have Masha Ohm's new film, Punks. From South Korea, Sung Joon Yi made Shadow Flowers. From Iran, Mehrdad Oskoui made Sunless Shadows. And from Azerbaijan, Marlene Edoyan did. No, this is
Canada.
a mistake.
It's a mistake, sorry.
So wrong. It's Canada. From Canada, Marlene Edoyan made The Sea Between Us. From Rwanda and the UK and Switzerland, Kivu Ruhorahoza made Europa, based on a true story. From Italy, Valentina Pedicini made Faith. And Jürgen Latt made I Walk, which is also in our feature-length competition. I invite you, of course, to go discover these films on the website of IDFA. Everything is being announced right now. And we are so particularly proud of these films. So I don't have any fear of telling you It's a great selection. The jury here is gladly, we are very proud to welcome the great African master filmmaker Gaston Kaboré from Burkina Faso, whose films have been prominent in the canon of African cinema since the 90s. Mila Turajlik, who was the winner of IDFA's feature-length competition in 2017 with her beautiful film, The Other Side of Everything. From Lebanon, Rima Mismar, a film critic and the director of the Arab Fund for Arts and Culture. From France, master filmmaker Claire Simon. And wonderfully, from Iran, Mohsen Makhmalbaf will be joining us, and we will be screening his film with the title
Moment of Innocence.
A Moment of Innocence in The Villain strand. I think we're delivering, we're about to end, and before we talk about the opening film, I have a few more points to bring up. I want to tell you that we are also enjoying adding to our map a few locations this year. So we will have a few new locations for the professional activities, and the new venue for guest services, for Industry Hub. The festival heart will be moved from the Carlton Hotel to Brakkegrond, where DocLab used to be, and DocLab is going to be having its home in Tolhuis Town, like Casper said. Other new locations include Criterion Cinema in Amsterdam, which is going to be a main venue for our films. It includes Rialto in Amsterdam, where we will show more films than ever. More and more venues. OBA, the bibliothèque, will also host screenings, and I will not say all of the list. You can, of course, discover it in the press release and on the website. This is a new spread that hopefully will invite more audiences to attend IDFA films in different parts of Amsterdam, and we will walk more, I'm sure, attending IDFA this year. We have a great harvest for films supported by IDFA Bertha Fund. Isabel, you are here. Isabel is our colleague, the director of the fund. It's 14 films, wasn't it? 14 new IDFA Bertha supported films are in the program of IDFA this year, and they include great award winners, like the winner of Berlinale, talking about trees, and include new films and entries in the competitions or out of competitions in IDFA in different places. We take pride in being able, through the fund, to support talent around the world, mainly in Asia, Latin America, and Africa, and the Middle East, parts of Eastern Europe. Other than this, we will have particular focus points. So it's not a whole program, but it's an afternoon, probably here in this room, that we will be organizing with films from Venezuela and films from Sudan on another day. Because of two reasons. First, because what's happening in these two countries is important, is painful to follow, and is also difficult to relate to. Maybe we need to take a look. But also because we have a commitment towards the filmmakers in these countries and the situation they are in. So as a team, we, the team of IDFA, want to stand in solidarity with the filmmakers of Venezuela. Venezuela is a country where we know now that there is almost no Venezuelan filmmaker who managed to stay living in Venezuela now. Everybody had to flee. In Sudan, the situation is getting maybe a little better now, but the result is an exceptional wave of new films. We never heard of films from Sudan being visible around the world. This year, we have a film winning awards in Venice. We have a film winning awards in Berlin. We have Sudanese films taking over the world. All of a sudden, at the same period of Sudan's history where there is a revolution happening. Something is happening. 2 other countries are certainly interesting to observe through the festival, and this would be Lebanon, with everything that's happening in the country now. It's an unprecedented popular movement now there, and we have 4 films that can tell you so much about the history and the reality and life in Lebanon, with their filmmakers present to discuss, to tell us more, and to ask them, and to understand, to learn, to, I don't know, find empathy, find tender interest in the other. And the other country, of course, is Chile, where all of this violent crackdown on protesters is happening, and where it just happens that we have some of Chile's best master filmmakers coming with their films, new and old. So there is so much in the world that IDFA is commenting on through this, in this way, and offering you to learn hands-on. Last point I want to say before we end is, like last year, hopefully a little more developed, we are offering another way, a second way of looking at our program. The way we presented our program to all of you today through the sections is, of course, the classical film festival structure. But there's the other structure that we are also offering, another way of navigating this big program through what we call the pathways. So you can either go through sections. I want to see what are the new films in the feature-length competition, what are the new films in Frontline, in Luminous, or you can go to the pathways as a way of navigating this program. Examples, we have a pathway that we call Life in Europe. This is a big collection of new films that would tell you what is it like to live in Europe today. It will show you different parts of the continent, different problems, different joys, from the personal to the social, to the familial, until the political. It will show you corruption, it will show you the rise of right-wing, it will show you also what's happening in science, show you refugees, it will show you identity crisis. This pathway, we are doing this year in close collaboration with the European Cultural Foundation. So this will include good talks, discussions, debates, trying to help all of us see what's happening to this continent today. Not an easy quest, but I think the complexity of good film helps us tackle this without being shallow, without being just stuck with slogans. Another example is our focus on women, women as filmmakers and women as characters. We have this pathway with the title, It's a Woman's World, that can take you through the reality of being a woman today and the history of that too. This, for example, will come together in a day that we will dedicate to films about women in collaboration with Women Inc. And this will be a very special day with exceptional discussions, talks, and film screenings, of course. A third thing that we're doing is our commitment to reaching out wider in Amsterdam and around it, and then in the Netherlands on a wider level. And this comes through IDFA's program, IDFA Meets, which is also going to be presented as a pathway. This is how we try to reach out to underrepresented sectors or segments of the society and to young audiences through films that we curate especially for this in collaboration with different organizations, partners around the city and around Netherlands, and organize screenings in different venues which are not necessarily always IDFA venues, but sometimes going out from our own map to meet people who do not usually come to our own venues. All that said, this was the fastest possible. And we have omitted so much. This is not even half of it. But I hope that we managed to tell you all that is important now, and that we intrigue you to visit the website, to ask us questions. And then something is missing, I think. the opening film of IDFA 2019 will be a great film. We like it. We like it. We're sure you will too. And it is Sunless Shadows by Iranian filmmaker Mehrdad Oskoui. This is a beautiful film that is that you have, that IDFA have shown a former film, a previous film of Mehrdad Oskoui, where he went and took us with him to a prison in Iran. In this film, he takes us to another prison, to a juvenile detention center, to meet and spend time with young women, teenagers, who were imprisoned because they contributed or took part in murdering a male member of their family. I'm going to show you a clip and leave you to look for it on our website, because if I start telling more, I cannot stop.
سلام مامان. خوبی؟ مامان خیلی حرفا دادم که بهت بزنم. خیلی حرف. نمیدونم از کجا باید شروع کنم. از چی بگم؟ از خوبیات بگم یا بدیهات؟ مامان میدونم منو خیلی دوست داری. میدونم دوست داشتن تو بهم ثابت کردی. ولی مامان این دوست داشتن تو منو کشون زندان. 6 سال از بهترین عمرم گذشت تو زندان. من که میخوام آزاد شم. دارم آزاد میشم. مطمئن باش همه تلاش هم میکنم که تو هم آزاد چی. چون مادرمی. چون دوستت دارم. چون بغیر از تو کسی ها ندارم. برام دعا کن تا بتونم یه زندگی خوبی داشته باشم. دوستت دارم مامان. خیلی.
From the most artistically ambitious to the classics of documentary cinema, from the most innovative new media approaches to films that directly tackle the most urgent topics of our reality today. From 75 countries, we have what we dare say the best edition of IDFA in a long time. So we're waiting for you. We're looking forward to sharing these films and these discussions with you. We will have at least 50-something long talks with great filmmakers and with great protagonists. We'll have an amazing number of wonderful film protagonists come to join us too. This go from the president of Davos's World Economic Forum until the great protagonist of a film in Mexico, who is a wonderful journalist fighting her way to keep saying truth to power. So, looking forward to welcoming all of you and to welcoming the filmmakers, to introducing them and their films, and to share a drink with you now. Thank you very much for attending. Thanks.